Good morning and welcome to MNN, Maze News Network. Today we're going to be looking at a video made by CNN about the Keystone Pipeline. Take a look.
I think in addition to Obamacare, which a lot of voters care about, they also care about jobs. And if we're serious about jobs, I think that the president has got to approve the Keystone Pipeline. You've got major labor union folks backing this. President Clinton said we've got to embrace Keystone. It just got a clean bill of health in this report. Haven't the opponents to Keystone already lost? I bet the president approves this.
No,
you want to make a bet?
Absolutely not. I will bet you.
Okay, great. Let's do it.
I won't bet you my retirement, but I will bet you.
Let's stay away from $10,000 bets.
That's right.
We'll just shake on it.
How about that?
Shake on it. Good.
If you look at the report doesn't actually say that this is going to be good for the country. What the report actually says is that in and of itself, you cannot make a determination on the impact of what this one project by itself, without any other factor coming into play, will have on carbon emissions. What it does say, though, is it plays out scenarios which are very feasible that will play out. For example, the price of oil goes down. Everyone's speculating that the price of oil will go down. If that happens, then tar sands expands and carbon emissions will go up. And so I actually think taking that along with everything else that the president wants to do on climate change can give him a green light to say no.
I really want to get your opinion on this. Now, I don't understand why Republicans have made this project the centerpiece of their entire economic philosophy. When you look
I think that's overstated quite a bit.
Well, every time we have a show, somebody says something. Somebody says something about Keystone, and somehow Keystone is going to create all these jobs. And then it turns out, look, let's just go with the actual numbers. It turns out the actual numbers are 3,900 temporary jobs in the construction sector and 35 permanent jobs. Why is this obsession that you guys have when you have a foreign corporation, TransCanada, who's going to be seizing American farmland, putting a dangerous toxic chemical through so they can send it over to China and create 35 permanent jobs? Why is this your talking point?
Well, I don't think that's a fair reading of the report. First of all, the report says there will be 42,000 jobs created.
Oh, no. It says, let's be very clear, 42,000 jobs, direct, indirect, and induced.
That's right.
Which is basically the secretary touches a piece of paper.
That's an econometric model that shows the spending of people who get jobs and so forth. It isn't fair to just limit it.
But it's 3,900 construction jobs.
By definition,
I can give you that any other.
Go ahead. By definition, construction jobs are temporary. Okay? When you build a building, guess what? When the building's built, you move on to the next project. It's ridiculous to say you shouldn't build a pipeline for that reason. That's number one. Number two, the main argument given for why the pipeline should not have been green-lighted was its potential effect on the environment. Right. Mm-hmm. And what the report shows, Van, and this is irrefutable, the science is clear, is that the alternatives to the pipeline are worse. If you use primarily tanker trucks to transport this shale gas, climate emissions will be 28% higher than the pipeline. If you use primarily rail, they'll be 40 to 42% higher. So if you're for protecting the environment, you should build the pipeline.
All that's a very good reason to leave this toxic sludge in the ground. We can talk about that later.
Let's begin our video breakdown. The first thing that CNN claimed was that most labor union people are backing up the building of Keystone. After extensive research, I did find that it is backed by most labor unions because the Keystone Pipeline proposed that it would create many jobs. First of all, the construction industry is facing record unemployment because it won't last forever. Your job won't last forever. And second of all, there was a $7 billion PLA, project labor agreement, that was signed. So CNN was right. The Keystone Pipeline is backed up by labor unions. Second fact that CNN had stated was that we can't make the assumption on what this project will do without any other factor involved on carbon emissions. What I found was that the DOE, National Energy Technology Laboratory, estimates of tar sands was triple carbon emissions from 300 MMT to over 900 MMT by 2030. That's a lot of carbon emissions. Next, the EPA estimated that there will be an increase in annual emissions by up to 26.7 MMT of carbon emissions. Not only did I find that, but I also found out that the Keystone Pipeline is equivalent of seven coal-fired power plants operating continuously, or that's like having 6.2 million cars on the road for 50 years. Better check your facts, CNN. His claim was that the price of oil will go down and CO2 will go up. They also said that the tar sands will expand. I do agree that the tar sands will expand. I agree because transporting the tar sands oil to the Gulf will expand their horizons. Also, the tar sand oils will be sold at an increase or a higher price, which was indicated by Goldman Sachs. However, the claim that CO2 will go down and the price of oil will go down, I'm not really agreeing with. I have two quotes that kind of back me up on this. First was from an analyst at Morningstar. He said that there will be no material impact on gas or diesel. A second was from the managing director at Deutsche Bank. He said that Keystone would not have a significant impact either way on overall Northern American energy prices. So there you go. So the tar sand oil might expand, but I'm not seeing any price of oil going down. Alright, well, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
I'm TransCanada CEO Russ Gurley. They said it couldn't be done. Building an oil pipeline that cut right through America's heartland. I guess we proved them wrong. Yippee! And to think that all it took was a little old-fashioned lying. Like when we told the American people it would be good for the economy. Well, Keystone is only going to drive the price of oil up! Oh, but wait! This is my favorite part. We said the Keystone Pipeline was going to increase American oil independence. You want to see who it's really going to increase oil independence for? God bless America.
Welcome back to MNN. Let's continue breaking down CNN's video. Let's get right into it. In the video, they claim that Republicans have made their entire centerpiece of their economic philosophy around the Keystone Pipeline. They said, in quotations, Keystone will create these jobs. They will also create 3,900 temporary jobs in the construction center and 35 permanent jobs. What I found was that the House Republicans were committed to finding a solution to ensure that the pipeline gets built. They said, quote in quotation, that it would strengthen our energy security and put Americans back to work. Well, there you go. And also I found that the State Department report predicts that 35 permanent jobs and 3,900 temporary jobs will indeed be created. Well, I mean, CNN got their facts right there. The next thing that CNN has stated was that TransCanada will be seizing American farmland, which would create dangerous and toxic chemicals to all the farmers. What I found was that there was a pending court battle with Texas landowners specifically that are presenting a broader challenge to TransCanada's plans. For example, a Texas farmer by the name of Julia Trigg Crawford was offered $7,000 by TransCanada for a lifetime easement on her pasture. She refused to take the $7,000 because she found out that diluted bitumen would flow through the pipelines, causing dangerous and toxic chemicals to go through her crops, destroying her crops. The next thing that CNN has claimed was that the U.S. State Department report said that the Keystone Pipeline will create 42,000 jobs, which included direct jobs, indirect jobs, and induced jobs. What I found does back up this statement. I did find that 3,900 jobs over 1 year of construction will be created and 1,950 jobs each year for 2 years will be created. The rest of the jobs will be from spill spending, which is the indirect or induced jobs. Which means, well, slow spending means, first of all, that workers will buy their own equipment and their own materials. And they spend that money that they receive on like an array of services, including food, healthcare, and arts and entertainment. The next thing I want to move on to is the definition that CNN gave of construction jobs. They said, in quote, by definition, construction jobs are temporary. You can't really refute this claim because it is true. I definitely agree with this. A construction job won't continue your whole lifetime. It will come to an end. You can't build something for the rest of your life. So again, I agree with CNN's statement. You can't really go wrong with saying that they're temporary, because that's just what construction jobs are. The next claim by CNN makes me wonder why they said this, because they claim that the science is clear that alternatives are worse. They said that the tanker trucks will produce climate emissions 28% higher than the pipeline, and that primarily rail would be 40 to 42% higher. But what I found was that not all alternatives are worse. Actually, railroads are alternative, and I found out that railroads are one of America's most energy efficient modes of transportation. But you may ask, how? But why? Well, because of the railroad's onboard electronics. The electronics assess topography, the track curvature, the train length, and the weight to calculate optimum speed for conserving fuel. They also get 80% more mileage from a gallon of diesel. Not only am I done, I'm not done yet, but the EPA calculates that moving a freight by train rather than a truck, per se, over long distances reduces greenhouse gas emissions by up to 75%. There you go. So maybe not all alternatives are worse, CNN. Well, that's it for today on MNN. Thank you for coming to our video breakdown of the week.